Welcome on in, Games Done Quick Committee. The game that we are playing today is Sworn, a 2024, now alpha release 2025 game that is Hades roguelike, but it is co-op. So you're going to see the two runners here, myself, GeneralAndrews, and SpazeeMcgee using the Vigilante, one of 4 chosen characters, while they go ahead and choose between numerous different fays. Those fays are like gods that have the abilities that they offer you different perks to go ahead and run through the phases even faster. There are 4 biomes in this run. A combination of things you're going to see happen here are the runners utilizing all their combination of moves, running from a light attack, a heavy attack, a spell, a dash, an ultimate, and potentially a beautiful, albeit scary, pet. Each different room offers a numerous amount of obstacles to overcome, from traps that you can trigger, the enemies can trigger, elite enemies that also spawn additional enemies, and a variety of enemies specific to each biome. You will see the runners utilize rerolls to get the preferred set of phase as they continue to build up the combinations that they're looking for. There will be additional strategies such as using secret shops and or taking advantage of these statues to allow for some bonus perks. Some time is given up, but for long-term gain is ahead. Excellent work by these two runners right here. Again, they're going to go ahead and visit the shop. They're going to look for things such as upgrades that they can go ahead and purchase, or if they're able to buy rerolls for their phase, and even resurrection tokens, because albeit you want to go ahead and go as fast as possible, sometimes you run yourself right into a corner. And there were some upgrades showcased on the screen right quick. Now this game, for the speed run, does an in-game timer. An RTA time estimate will also be added as a part of the submission tonight. So now these two runners are using the same character, but even have different weapons available. There are 4 different weapons for each 4 different characters. So 16 different ones to choose from to combine, mix, match, and dominate the competition. Certain rooms will offer you certain perks, such as a shop, gold, sword the stone abilities, phase, leveling up the phase, and more. A lot of the times you'll see a lot of the enemies give you heads up before they attack. They'll have an exclamation point above their head, or they'll do a very particular action that gives away their movement and or attack pattern. The first mini boss is upon us. This is actually the preferred mini-boss to get here, the Treant Scourge. A very scary and intimidating looking fellow. However, his moveset allows for a lot of free hits while taking very minimal damage. As you can see here, these two are just going right through, cutting the tree down nice and quick. All right, as you can see here, one of these runners is doing a greed build. That won't be displayed as best on this screen because it was on the other runner screen. But their greed build means that every time that they have 50 gold, they get a percentage of damage boost. In this instance, I'm pretty sure it was like a 4 or 5% damage boost for every 50 gold. Sometimes there will be resources that are gathered that will be of no use during the run, such as those moonstones. They do nothing for you right now. You'll utilize them outside when you are upgrading your character. These runners are always going to want to see smaller enemies, usually have less life, much quicker to take out as well, which huge time save. the runners will consider they want to take on less health for a perk. Sometimes it's worth it, other times it's not. Same thing with choosing these event rooms. Some of the event rooms are extremely fast, faster than your battles. But unfortunately, this is one of the slow ones. You just have to survive. So no matter what you do, this is going to be a 45-second room. The two runners here are going to do their best to take as little damage as possible while taking out as many enemies as possible. So a strategy here, they can decide to not attack any of the enemies and just dodge and save their hand stamina if they felt that was an issue. Or as you can see, they're deciding to collect fairy embers. Again, another awesome resource that is utilized outside of the pit. Sometimes face taking damage is just a thing you gotta do to go fast. Now this run, if you're noticing here, just from the combinations of different fays, and then once you call upon a fay, you're still going to get 3 of 20 plus different options, showcasing you the mathematical improbability of getting your perfect subset of skills and attacks is on the lesser side, which what provides a very, very exciting, albeit sometimes at the edge of your seat, exciting experience. There'll be certain times that the runners, if they're doing a greed build, they might decide to go with the money over the shops. However, a lot of the times you will see the runners choose a shop, not because they're going to spend the money and buy upgrades necessarily, but the reason they're going to do it is because they want to go ahead and not waste time. Going into shops is a whole room without adding time onto the clock. All right, our first biome's boss. One of the knights of the round. It is none other than Gawain. Gawain hits extremely hard if you allow him to hit you dead center on any of his moves. Ranging from 3 different axe slams, the rotating axe spin, and as you can see, these two runners have them exactly where they want them, using their ultimates, getting stagger, which is a stun in this game, and then just wailing away on them, even though they were taking damage. After defeating each of the knights, you actually go into a room that gives you a fountain. That fountain fills for a lot of health, so you'll see the runners when they're getting close to finishing off the enemy. It's like, wait, I can go ahead and end this still with full health regardless. No reason to dodge anymore, just finish off the foe. Cornwall Township, this is biome number 2. Depending on who you're talking to, biome number 2 or biome number 3 are the ones that are the least favorite for those trying to go fast. Looks like they were trying to decide between 2 different fays that neither of them really wanted. And that'll happen, and you've got to make the best of that scenario. Here they go. Dipping and dodging, ducking and weaving, getting stuns in. As you can see, the other runner is running with the high crit build. So the hope here between these two runners is that one has got a stun build and one has got a damage build. Now, preferably, they actually want to mix and match between the two of them, where they both have stun and they both have crit. The combination of those two is massive. But again, you have to adjust where you can. Another quick room. Making really good time. Great example of going into a shop to save on time, but also they're just deciding to fuel on up as well. Seeing if they got some bonuses that are going to help, be it health, be it the preferred Fae. Grabbing some hemorrhaging. And this game goes from common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary skills. However, if you're maxed out, the chance of getting a legendary skill is only 1% at max. The tricky thing about this biome, as you notice, are the fungi that have a funk around them. It damages anyone, which is cool that it damages the enemies. However, when it comes to you diving in, getting caught in the middle of that can be quite treacherous indeed. You'll see the runners from time to time go and knock some of the barrels open. There's goodies inside, ranging from gold, health, and shards. All right, this is not the preferred mini boss. There are 2 mini bosses for each area that it can rotate between, and this is not the mini boss that they wanted to run into. However, it looks like they are making extremely quick work of this high evasion raving blight rat. And surprisingly so, they did great. All right, mini boss down. On forward they go. Another quick room. Collecting the goodies. That goal, which seems insignificant, matters heavily on a greed build. One of the trickiest enemies for going fast are the pinked shawled rats, as their spin move gives them quite a bit of damage dealing before being dealt with themselves. Gargamog is the Fae that provides stagger or stun. And is one of the most important ones next to Bod or Lu, the crit dealing Fae. These 2 runners have a great combination between up close and personal and long distance. It looks like both runners have a ton of spider little pets that they have spawned, which will help deal extra damage along the way. And don't die. They are impervious to damage or death. Time to level up. And this is one of the hardest things to decide, is which percentage of which move is going to be critical in progressing everything forward. Great upgrades all around. And another shop. All right, chance to catch their breath. Attempt to upgrade themselves. And to take on the second Knight of the round. None other than Percival, the pestilent overseer. This lance-wielding baddie has quite a devastating combination for a strong dive that at the tip of it does max damage, and then a spin move when you are trying to get in close, which seems like a nice bait. But the stun proves valuable once again, going into their supers. Ooh, however, Percival is a very evasive boss and didn't allow them to maximize their ultimate damage there. This crisscrossing move right here is quite unfortunate, as the enemy continues to keep moving and usually takes very little damage during that exchange. Looks like the two runners are just going to go ahead and go ham here to finish it off. And Percival is slain. That is 2 worlds down. This run is halfway done. They're going to go ahead and take advantage of the fountain here, while both of them will fill up for at least 60 health apiece. Don't worry about the imposing Lancelot with the question mark above his head. Exclamation point, excuse me. He is a side quest that brings on the long-term ultimate goal, but is not a part of the any percent run. Nice quick work. This area also gets quite interesting. And look at this. The second partner also has the ability for greed. Not only has that common, so the common is going to be a 3% damage gain compared to the 4% for uncommon, but taking it anyways. Sitting currently at 225 gold, which means 12% damage. Has been granted. All right, depending on the enemies that spawn, all the small enemies are nice, quick, easy kills for the runners. However, the underwater large enemies from the seahorses that spit to the underwater dragons with extremely long necks are extremely tanky. These hard-shelled do wave damage, which will actually hurt you multiple times in a row. However, the runners made quick work of them. Again, stun coming in very importantly there. The Sanctuary of the Giants. They're going to give up some health now, which they can regain. It's not a permanent curse, which is giving them a damage shield. So every time they enter a room, they get 1 free time of getting hit by anything, and it will take no damage at all. That'll prove to be very important at the end of the run. These other land-lubbing, peer-mocking, flipper-slapping enemies are a perfect example of extremely tanky enemy that baits you to being out of position before it rains down hell and fury upon you. And here is a good example of the long necks, and we'll see where this room actually becomes quite challenging, except when stuns are landed, as you can see there. What should have been tough was actually very quick. All right, a mini boss is next. They are looking for one of the 2 mini bosses, preferably. They would like the chunky mini boss compared to the underwater diving mini boss. The underwater diving mini boss has iframes because of the ability to go underwater. This one is always vulnerable. Granted, does a lot of damage in a short amount of time, so be careful. And these two runners aren't very afraid of this current move set by the mini boss, the Abyssal Watcher. And now they are both using her ultimate, and I think this boss is not going to be happy with the result, which is a quick defeat. Just over 10 minutes through the run as they approach halfway through the third world. Taking advantage of a shop right away, kind of looking over, is it worth spending money taking away damage for potential upgrades? They said no. Let's go for more money. Now the rooms with these projectile shooting enemies, which are like miniature versions of the mini boss, are a whole handful to deal with. Because when they layer it, it makes it really hard to time their projectiles, but they made that look easy there. Another decision, money or upgrade. They both know that the money will give them damage each. Well, the upgrade could be a passive upgrade, it could be a support upgrade. It might prove to be futile. Excellent teamwork here. And again, making quick work of another room. Looking around for bonuses, not seeing any, and on they move to the fairy embers. There are enemies in this area that actually will shoot ink at you, and the more they shoot ink at you, the less you can see on the screen. So if you continue to face tank those guys, you will actually end up with no screen. And you'll be looking for a cheat code to get rid of the fog of war. A secret shop, a resurrection token, yes please. Again, deciding, do you want additional gold? Sometimes that's worth it. I say it always is. Upgrading 2 random blessings, always worth it. And look at that. What a great set of upgrades. And then a shop to save more time. So even though the runners have gotten quite unlucky that 2 of the 3 mini bosses that they have faced were not the preferred. Excuse me, 1 of the 3. They've had enough shops to make up for that. As now it's time to deal with the femme fatale of Round Table Knights. Lady Bedivere. Now, these 2 runners happen to have quite the stacked set of moves, and if you notice, they are just allowing themselves to tank the damage as they build up their stagger, because they would like to stun her. And there it is. They've got the stun, and they are oh, the stun didn't last too long on her, though. It did not matter. She was dealt with quickly, and 3 of the 4 bosses are down. The runners will heal and then run off. They will actually do their best to dash as many times as possible to save time in this long hallway. No dilly-dallying. And then now stuck with an option over and over again as more and more swords get laid down, representing the enemies that they will face. Excellent. They were able to split up here and then come back and focus on the remaining enemy. More Gargamog. Trying to decide here. Yes, a longer stun duration sounds amazing. They are knocking the fire out of their way because the enemies will actually knock the fire in the way, regardless that it does damage to them. But once again, saving their ultimates for that moment in time was perfect. Quick transition into another Fey Blessing. Great dodge moves. And there it was, using that damage shield, got hit for the first time. Now taking a few more hits of damage, kind of face tanking. The reason why this is a possibility is because they have so many res tokens still available for both runners. Getting lucky here and getting more Gogamog. Getting more stun. And it's time for one more challenge before the end. Excellent stuns right now. The ultimate's helping clear out some of these enemies. And again, the final fight is amongst them. And they've got their super nice and built up. That ultimate is wrecking havoc. They are down to just one of the fainted knights. And another ultimate was used because that ultimate will not carry into the next room. So it was key to use that damage as soon as possible. They have one more chance to fill up health, one more chance to shop, and then it's on to the final boss. And during this upcoming cutscene, it'll be important to go ahead and remind everyone that we are doing this for charity. Summer Games Done Quick is happy to represent the charity needs of many by running this 7-day event. Thank you, everyone, and let's enjoy the coup de grace for this run. And it's King Arthur. The Red Dragon himself has a litany of moves that deal a ton of damage. However, when stunned, he can't do too much at all. Excellent combinations. These two are face taking it again. They don't want to die because that's time lost from doing their moves. But they don't want to waste any time not hitting King Arthur either. Almost time, but guess what? It's the final boss. There's a phase 2. The Grail corrupted tyrant himself. Is it getting hot in here? I think it is for King Arthur. As GeneralAndrews and SpazeeMcgee, even if they're losing a life, continue to lay down the hurt. Damage is stacking, and other ultimate is ready once again. The boss is amazingly stunned. Trying to breathe fire once again, but it ain't gonna matter when you're in ultimate form. The end of this run is coming up here in just a matter of moments, folks. In 3, 2, and time. I hope everyone has enjoyed what you've seen today of Sworn, a Hades-like co-op roguelike that has so many options, it might just be as overwhelming as that cutscene. Thank you, everyone at Games Done Quick, for checking this run on out, and we are excited to perform this upcoming summer. With that being said, you have a wonderful one, and we'll talk to you again soon. Goodbye.